Hey there, Canopy Growth traders and investors. It's Rod with Pow Group. Welcome back on The Pursuit of Wealth, your home for MJ stocks, crypto assets, news, and interviews. Happy Saturday, February 8th. Hope you're having a fantastic weekend. In this video, we're going to review Canopy Growth's Q3 2025 earnings. They were pretty bad. Stock was down about 25%. They had a beat in terms of revenue, but the EPS was atrocious. It had a huge miss. So, and that, in my opinion, was the reason why it was down. Another big loss, but they have narrowed their loss compared to the past. We'll discuss all of that and more. We'll bring up the chart, what to expect in terms of the price action in the days, weeks, months ahead. But before we do, make sure to smash the like. It helps support me in the channel. If you're new, you can subscribe, tick the bell, all that stuff. You'll be notified on any future content. And as always, this is not financial advice. This is for entertainment purposes only. And full disclosure, I do own a very small position of Canopy in my portfolio. It's about less than 5% of my portfolio. I'll have to do another MJ portfolio update. Let me know in the comment section if that's something you'd like to see. Also, you can follow us over on X, formerly Twitter. Handle for that is @GroupPow. Going to be using that as my platform of choice going forward. So we were expecting, in terms of analyst estimates, if you didn't see my Canopy Growth earnings prep and estimate video, essentially I usually put these out a couple of days before the earnings, and we go over the analyst estimates and consensus on what to expect from Wall Street. They were expecting 69.157 million for revenue and negative 0.538 for earnings per share. They did come in at it was 74 million and change on the revenue, but it was over $1 negative EPS. So again, we'll look at that in just a moment. Also, if you haven't seen my video, I did a Canopy Growth Q3 2025 earnings call live stream, and during that live stream, you can kind of skip ahead and you can see the chat as well. And I discuss some of the main points in there, and you can kind of see what the rest of the community is saying. But a couple things that I mentioned here. Next earnings call will be in May, and we should get some insights into CUSA, so Canopy USA financials. But then I suspect it will be fall. It usually later than what they say it is. But yeah, they did say spring last call. And yeah, it was more details regarding CUSA performance and financials in late May as expected, is what they said on the call. It was Judy Hong, the CFO. And if we scroll down, that's pretty much all the major updates. They did say that, they're kind of focusing more on the European market. They're also focusing on Australia, but their big focus right now in terms of international is the European markets. And there was an article here from BNN Bloomberg. If you haven't seen this, you can check it out. But Canopy Growth reports 121.9 million Q3 loss compared to 216.8 million loss a year earlier. So they are trimming that down, which is great to see, but still with a fairly large loss here on the books, which, I think it's going to be at least a couple of years before this company really starts to see any meaningful profitability metrics being hit. So Canopy Growth reported third quarter to fiscal year 2025 financial results. We'll scroll down here. So as I said, 74,761,000 was the net revenue. They had a gross margin percentage of 32%. So as I mentioned, net loss 121 million and change. Adjusted EBITDA was negative 3.469 million, and free cash flow negative 28 million and change. If we just bring up, negative 23. EBITDA was negative 23.822 million versus a forecast of negative 20.677 million for Q3 2025. So this was adjusted EBITDA. So that was just regular EBITDA, but they did miss in terms of that as well. So not great. They missed in terms, only positive was that they beat, like I said, in terms of revenue. But if we just take a look here at the EPS, it was negative $1.11. So a very, very big miss there. Total debt decreased to 442 million at December 31st, 2024 from 554 million at September 30th, 2024, primarily due to early repayment that reduced the company's senior secured term loan. Go through a little bit quicker here. So like I said, should see some more insight into the deconsolidated financials of Canopy USA, which is Jetty, Wana, and Acreage. And that should be in the next earnings call in May. So that could be an interesting quarter here next quarter with some insight into that. Stores and Bickle, their margins were down a little bit, and they said like it was mostly due to shipping costs and a few other things. But the Volcano and the Venti continue to produce meaningful revenue. We'll scroll down. I think that's pretty much it. I did want to check their cash as well. So we'll scroll down. the rest of the report. So cash and cash equivalents as of December 31st, 2024, they had 161,909,000. And I wanted to check excise tax as well. They had a lower amount of excise tax this quarter, only 11.483 million. So generally, most companies are paying in the sector. And if you look at my video I did on Aurora, the earnings summary of there and the review of that, their earnings were amazing. They had an absolute, they crushed it in terms of revenue estimates and EPS. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that they're focusing on international and medical, and they're not paying high excise tax here in Canada. So if you look at like Auxly's recent report and Tilray's recent report, a few other reports from different LPs, Organogram, most of them are paying about a third of their revenue to excise tax. And the reason for that with Auxly and Organogram is because they're only focusing on MJ, whereas Tilray has different operations like alcohol, things like that. So they're not paying like that quote unquote 1/3. And then same thing with Canopy Growth. They have like the stores in Bickle, right? So and then they have the Jetty and the Wana and the Wanderous and the hemp business as well in the U.S. So it would be expected that it would be basically it would make sense, is what I'm trying to say, that they would have less excise taxes. So we'll just say 86 million, and if we times that by a third, that's generally about 28 million is what we would expect from most, but they only came in at just over 11.4 million in excise taxes. So again, the reason for that is because they have other ancillary types of businesses, peripheral businesses that aren't plant touching. But overall, they're progressing in the right direction, a lot slower than most other companies. But I do think that the company is going to make a long term. I think they are too big to fail at this point. And with Canopy USA being the crown jewel of everything, they also have the Wanderous, and a lot of Pow Group private members have said great things about the Wanderous products. And you can order hemp-derived products directly to your door. And shout out to Andy in the Pow Group private community. He had like a massive order. And yeah, I can't wait to try them. I've actually never tried any of the HD9 products because here in Canada, hemp and MJ are regulated the same. So we just have the real thing here. But, I hear it's kind of similar. It's just a little... it's not as potent, and when you take the HD9, it kind of just makes you feel mellow and smooths you out, kind of thing, but just not as intense kind of effects. But yeah, if you haven't tried those, I highly encourage you to check those out. And like I said, I think CGC definitely deserves a place in people's portfolio. It's been a brutal ride. I mean, the stock's still down 99.5% from all-time highs, February 2021 highs. But same thing with a lot of the Canadian names, right? There's some outliers, but for the most part, most of them are down over 99% from their all-time highs. Some might not ever get to a new all-time high, but a lot of names in the space, we don't need new all-time highs to see life-changing wealth. But I do think the way they did acreage holders dirty, I think that Canopy will make it long-term. I just think they're too big to fail at this point, and they've got a lot of backing and Constellation Brands. They mentioned that they're still bullish on the thesis and the sector. It's just they were early, right? And beverage is going to be a massive segment as well. And we'll see what happens with regards to hemp-derived products, with regards to regulations. But I think we got basically a clear runway for the next year where the Farm Bill could potentially get amended, but it's at least going to be another year before we see any change to that. So we'll take a look at the chart here on CGC on the NASDAQ. So we have multiple bear flags at the moment. We did have a daily bear flag that confirmed, but then we had a nice relief rally, and a lot of that had to do with, the debanking situation. RFK Jr. probably going to get confirmed. What else? Aurora's earnings were really good. So we had a few different things that saw us see a nice move up and some nice momentum to the upside. But you have to remember that this was just a relief rally, and we're still in a monthly downtrend, which is the most important factor. And same thing with Aurora as well. So we need to see monthly uptrends across the sector before we're confident that this bear market is over, and there's still a ton of names in monthly downtrends. So we're at least 3, if not 4 months out before we confirm monthly uptrends. So we have a lot of work to do, and at least 3 or 4 months before we can even be any somewhat confident at all that the bear market is over, right? As long as we're in monthly downtrends across the sector, then it's just status quo and nothing to see here. But as of right now, we did negate that daily bear flag, so that we saw a huge move above the 0.32 fib there at 251, but we did come very close to hitting that daily bear flag target. We were a little over 5% away. We also had a weekly bear flag as well from the high to the low there. Let me just get rid of this other fib level here. So we had our high, low, lower high, and lower low. We had a weekly bear flag target of 202, which we did hit. And then, like I said, the daily bear flag target of 175. So I wouldn't be surprised if we did see one more final flush down. We're still very bearish here on the weekly, well below the 10-week moving average. The stochastic and the MACD could cross bullish here over the next couple of weeks. So we'll monitor that closely, but still well below all of our weekly and daily moving averages. We topped out right at the 50-day moving average as well on that bounce. And we didn't confirm a daily uptrend. So that's what happens as well when you have no daily support, right? And we still didn't confirm an uptrend. This move, yeah, we bounced a hell of a lot, up over 57% there off the low, but we still didn't confirm a daily uptrend. We were no longer in a daily downtrend with a break of the lower high, lower low pattern, but we needed a daily higher low and a higher high to be back into a daily uptrend. Now we're forming the higher low now. Now we need the higher high, but we're more than likely anticipating a type of equilibrium where we tighten up and we see a sideways range here in this range right here over the next couple of weeks, I would say. But again, just waiting for big tech, crypto, AI to top out. And then I think we're going to see, the play be MJ. And we have tons of reform on the horizon. And, the thesis is there. The catalysts are there. Depending on how many of them get, strung together, then we could see, easily 100, 200% gains on some of these names. And it'd really just be getting started, right? Because even after Aurora ran, I think like over 90% in a very short period of time, just in a few days, it's still down 99.5% from all-time highs, right? It did multiple reverse splits. Canopy did one as well, a 1 for 10. So who knows? Maybe Canopy just needs to do another second reverse split for people to start turning bullish because Aurora did one and then a 1 for 12, then they did a 1 for 10, and now people have a mind of a goldfish and memory of a goldfish, and most people don't even remember that. They say, oh, Aurora's the one to own now. So I always poke and have a little fun. It's like, okay, maybe Canopy Growth needs to do its second reverse split, and maybe it's due for a 1 for 12 like Aurora, and then people will finally turn bullish. Oh, gotta have fun with it. All right, enjoy the rest of your weekend. It's Rod with Pow Group. Thanks again for joining us on the Pursuit of Wealth. Let me know what you think of these earnings. What stood out to you? What did you like? What didn't you like? If you joined the conference call, what stood out to you on there as well? We'll continue the conversation in the comment section below. All right, catch you on the next one.